I'm still me, I stay automatic. Money add then multiply, I call it mathematics.
What your boy tell me? SOD, money, gang, SOD.
I surf.
I'm stubborn.
I'm shy.
I change the phones 2 times a day.
Heyo! What's good, everybody? It's your boy Devi, and welcome back to another video after me not creating a video for how long has it been? It's definitely been like maybe 2 or so years since I last created a video. By video I mean like a podcast video. How have you guys been? Oh my god, there's been so many changes since I did that Beyonce video, which Happy Cowboy Carter. She recently released the second act of her ongoing trilogy, and I'm not really much of a country music fan, but I did appreciate, the music and everything that she was able to give us. But I'll talk more about Beyonce later on in this video. But for right now, I just want to give like a slight little life update on what's really been going on with me ever since you guys last heard from me, and everything that's been happening. So, let's start off with, the last time you guys heard from me, I was pretty much, living at home with my mom. I still am living with my mom, but we're not really like living in like a home per se. I don't want to get too deep into it, but we've been moving around for like almost a year and a half now, ever since you guys last heard that podcast video of mine. A lot of things kind of, got pretty topsy-turvy, with my mom being sick from COVID and everything. And, just a lot of life changes and situations ended up happening. Started trying to see like who was really, people that we really cared about, if they actually cared about us, especially in my family. And just a lot of financial struggles as well. I finally now have like a job or two jobs now that I'm working, where I'm working in retail at 2 different department stores. I work at one department store that's kind of like a sister brand. I'm not going to tell you guys what the stores are called, but the other one is like another department store, but they're kind of like rivals of each other in a type of way, but at the same time I really don't care, and neither of my managers care. So it all kind of works out perfectly. And I just recently started going back to my first job, which is my main job that I've been working at for like the past 8 almost 9 months now. And my second job is my newer one that I've been working at for like a month now. I needed a second one because I needed better pay, and also it's a lot closer to me. So there's that. And I've kind of taken a break from really creating or drawing or even writing, mostly just because of the fact that work has been so exhausting, and it's literally taking me out of the count. Like, no shade. Like, it's taking me out for the count. And because it's like working in retail is like so exhausting. Like, there's just so many different things I can get into. It's like from the customers to what you're having to do in retail, especially if you like you're doing stock. And the reason why I'm doing stock is because of the fact that that's really like the only position that I was really interested in doing. Stock is pretty much like a pretty easy thing to do. Like, I mean, you're just mostly opening up boxes, if you have like a truck that comes in and they give pallets, or if it's like my second job where it's like you have like a conveyor belt and they kind of like load the boxes onto the conveyor belt, and like you have to sort out which ones can be like are kind of heavier, kind of like furniture merchandise, or cleaning merchandise, or just other types of things like pillows and comforters and stuff. Like my second job, it requires a lot of tagging. Like I never knew that, working in retail, or especially working at my second job, it's like you have to tag so many things, and it's like every single price tag has like a certain letter or like a certain whatever it is, where it's like, it shows you like what exactly like sensor that you need to use in order to tag it. And it was like a lot to try and remember. When I was first starting there, I almost wanted to quit like that first and second week that I was there, but I've stuck it out, and I'm still sticking it out. I'm trying to at least stick it out for like maybe like the next 2-3 months or so, just to see how it goes until I'm able to get like a better job. Same thing with like my first job. I think the main thing I can say about my first job is we get an overload, and I mean an overload of stock, like way too much merchandise, and there's really never enough room to be able to put it out on the sales floor, to where it's like it overcrowds, and it just makes the stock room look so messy and so compiled and everything. And they don't ever hire enough people that really can work in the back room to try and like, run all these merchandises out. And even when it comes to like all the trucks that we end up getting, because like we get several trucks within a week, and I've never understood why, they don't like just sell some of that merchandise or give some of that merchandise away to other, stores of the same brand, and give it to those stores, because I feel like that would be a lot easier, and it would make it so much more convenient for a lot of us stock associates, because it's like we already have like barely any or barely many people working back here, and it was just so irritating when I was first starting there. And I've gained a few friends when I was working at my first job, and I still talk to them from time to time. One of my homies, he ended up switching over to like work at like a hardware store, and I think he's doing pretty good there. I haven't talked to him in a minute, but I need to really check up on him. But anywho, those are just really my struggles with working in retail. I love retail work because it's very easy, and I kind of already know like what I need to really do about it or need to do with it, especially from like YouTube videos I was watching when I was first starting and training. But I definitely think I'm wanting to like go into like a different path soon, even though I know I've only been working in retail for like 8 or 9 months now. But I know for sure that I definitely don't want to work in retail forever. Like, if I can get myself like a nice office job, or a job where I know I'm not having to like be overly exuberant with like my energy, and having to like deplete myself with so much, energy, because I'm having to like lift this and lift that, move this, move that, and I'm having to work at such high speeds. It's like, it's so tiresome, so tiresome. And every single day I come home from work, it's like I'm so ready to just take a nap and just lay down. I mean, the only thing I can say about my second job is it actually definitely pays pretty good. I mean, it's bi-weekly pay, so it's not really great, like if you have like a bill that needs to be paid urgently. But when it all comes together and it accumulates, it definitely be hitting. It definitely be hitting. But I definitely do want to try and get back into, like working on some of my artistic measures and my artistic projects, because I haven't really had the time to be able to do that due to me being so tired from work. I remember I have like a story that I want to write, which is based off like 2 of my queer characters from like a superhero project that I'm working on. I wanted to focus mainly on like the 2 lovebirds that I have, because it's slightly inspired by like, my own real life and everything. Trust me, I'm not in love. I don't have any relationships whatsoever, but it definitely is something that I would like to like, try to get back into doing, because I've spent so much time away from creating, so that's a one-shot story that I want to try writing. I have several drawing ideas I want to try creating. I don't want to get too overly like confident about like, trying to write and trying to like, create stuff to where it's like I end up burning myself out, because that's what ended up happening last year. I ended up kind of burning myself out, and it's like I would love to get back into drawing again, but I just have to try and figure out like how to balance like work life and like private life. And then I also want to try and get back to school, so those are like some of like the little life updates I wanted to try and update you guys about, because it's definitely been a journey. It really has. Oh, speaking of which, I actually did, I don't know if you guys know, but I always try to plug my Tumblr because I do use Tumblr. For a short while, Tumblr had like a live streaming feature, and I used to do a couple live streams on there from time to time. And I've been wanting to get back into live streaming, just, you know, like on random occasions. So I might start doing like some Instagram lives every so often, and maybe even YouTube lives, because I've seen that YouTube actually has like updated their live streaming feature. So it seems to get you like more viewers, more people that, you know, can discover you and everything. So that's something I definitely want to try and like start working on as well. But anywho, enough of me rambling. Let's get into the rest of this video. So as you guys see in the title, I'm going to be doing a somewhat new-ish thing over here on my YouTube channel. At least every now and again I'll try and do it. I was originally going to try and record this video like way back in like March or even like early April this month, but you know, my mom was out sick and I really couldn't like try to like record it when I wanted to, and then also me working a lot, so I didn't really get a chance to do that either. So Poptopics is going to be kind of like my Hot Topics type of thing that I do every other month or every 2 or 3 months or so, depending on like whatever topics I want to talk about. So it'll either be like a long, hour-long video, maybe 50, 45-minute video. Sometimes it may be even a 10, 20-minute video. It all depends on like really like what's out there in the news that I really want to talk about. But there are like quite a few shows, movies, and even albums I'm really interested in, you know, wanting to talk about so far, because for this year, 2022, I mean, why did I say 2022? 2024, this year, have y'all seen how many people are releasing albums this year? Like, it's crazy. I mean, we already have had Ariana Grande release, you know, her album. Beyonce's released her album. Doja Cat's released her album last year and her deluxe album. Nicki Minaj released her album last year. Tinashe's releasing an album. Normani is finally releasing her debut. I don't even know how that's going to go, but we'll see. SZA's releasing her deluxe and maybe her Lana project. Tyler released an album. Billie Eilish is coming next month. Taylor Swift is coming again. I'm sorry, but Taylor Swift is definitely oversaturating herself within the music industry, and I don't even know exactly how I even feel about like what her upcoming album is going to be like. I might tune into it just for the simple fact that I just want to hear what it's going to be about. But I most definitely am like not too looking forward into like that music, because it's just going to end up, you know, overcrowding the charts, and then like the people that, you know, you want to like root for and see them get like their debut entries into the Billboard, it's like it's going to be hard trying to move past all that. But this isn't a Taylor Swift bash account, because I don't want the Swifties to end up coming after me, because I will Swift you guys out of here like a Swiffer wet jet. Dua Lipa's coming out with her third album. Megan Thee Stallion's coming out with a new album. Lana Del Rey is coming out with a country album. Katy Perry's coming out with a new album. Gaga is coming out with an album and the soundtrack to Folie à Deux. I think it's that Joker movie that she's doing. Charli XCX is coming out with her new album. Camila Cabello is gentrifying hyperpop and is coming out with her new album. Bree Runway, I'm hoping, is coming with her new album. FKA Twigs, my girl, is hopefully coming out with her album. And I think also The Weeknd, maybe Bruno Mars, Vince Staples, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and a couple of others are coming out with like their new albums. Like, everybody is releasing albums this year. Like, it's crazy. So far, it seems as if this is going to be a very stacked year for all of like these original, you know, songs and soundtracks and everything. I'm going to be so excited to see like what the Grammys is going to look like next year. Even the VMAs, I'm pretty sure is going to get really good next year, or even this year as well. So, you know, I guess we'll see how everything goes. Now going on into the shows and movies section. A lot of the shows I've been watching this year are mostly like either shows that came out last year, or there's shows that have like new seasons that have come out. There hasn't really been like any like new shows, I would say, I've really been interested in looking at, because some of them don't really interest me. But there's some others that I've really been like interested in. Like for shows, I've been watching Loot, which is on Apple TV Plus. It basically has like about like this rich woman who ends up, you know, trying to like move on from like her divorce from like her husband or ex-boyfriend or something like that. And, you know, she's played by Maya Rudolph. And they go on like a lot of like whimsical, like funny adventures of like her and like her company and everything like that, and like everything that entails with that. So I've been watching that. I've been watching Abbott Elementary, which, you know, everybody talks about Abbott Elementary, so I don't even have to start on there. I finished One Piece, which is the live action adaptation of One Piece, which I honestly am surprised I loved it as much as I did. Like, I honestly loved One Piece, and I really can't wait to see what the season 2 gives. I've never really watched the anime. I've always been interested in watching it, but I've never really took the time out and just like sit down and like just watch it, because for me with me in anime, I've kind of, I don't want to say grown out of it, but I've definitely haven't like really like tapped back into like my anime bag in like a minute. But you know, I might still try and watch like any new animes that may come out. And if you guys have any recommendations, definitely let me know. I may definitely end up looking into them, because there really hasn't really been that many new shows I've been super duper interested in. I'm going to talk about the Avatar: The Last Airbender Netflix adaptation later on in the video, because that one definitely deserves like some highlights as well. It wasn't like the greatest show, but it definitely was like an interesting one. I've been watching my personal comfort shows, which are more kid related or more kid friendly, but Fraggle Rock and Hop. Hop is basically like a new series created by the same guy that created Arthur. I think his name was Mark Brown, and it centers around like a disabled frog character and like the characters within his world and how they go through, you know, life and problem solving and stuff like that. It has like very much like big Arthur energy, but also it's like so cute and like adorable, and I just love it. And then Fraggle Rock, which is made by Jim Henson, it just, you know, revolves around the same characters from the 90s series, and just with new updated looks and new updated, you know, personalities and storylines and everything like that. And it's all pretty much still the same thing. I still love watching both of those shows. Like, I can't wait for the new season. I can't wait to watch some of the rest of the episodes for Fraggle Rock. And whenever Hop comes out with like new episodes, I'll definitely be checking in with them. I plan on getting into watching X-Men, which I'll even be talking about later on in the video, about like some things with the Marvel universe. But I've heard a lot of good things from X-Men 97, so I'll definitely be checking that out. And as for movies I've recently watched, I watched a good decent chunk of movies lately. A movie I did like this year was the Renaissance film by Beyonce. And I just love Beyonce's creativity. Like, Beyonce really does inspire me as like an artist myself, because she's a very skilled craftswoman. Like, you know, as someone like myself that has like many trades, I adore her work ethic, her skills, and everything that comes together when it comes to like her precision and getting groups of creatives to come together to really make her visions like, you know, really shine and, you know, speak for themselves. Like, all of it is just so beautiful, and it's really what makes me understand why she is on the top of the world like she is. You know, there will never be another Beyonce. And I just hope that, you know, people, especially Beyonce haters, get to understand and come to terms with the fact that we will never get another Beyonce. You know, so it's like, it's better to really adore her while she's alive than to hate her when she's gone, you know. But a lot of people don't really think like that, so that's kind of sad. Another movie I recently watched was Damsel, which is a Netflix movie. It stars Millie Bobby Brown and even Angela Bassett in it. It was a really good movie. I actually really liked it because it had Millie serving a badass role like she always does. And, you know, she was really kind of taking a spin on like the term of like what a damsel in distress is, you know. And it was just, you know, a really good watch. Like, I really recommend it, and I hope that they end up turning it into a film series at some point. I watched Parallel, which wasn't a bad sci-fi film, but I think it definitely could have been better if it had like more of like a multiversal storyline. Mea Culpa, which is a Tyler Perry film, came out this year, and I feel like the thing that really kind of ruins Tyler Perry, and one of the reasons as to why so many people are just not fans of Tyler Perry, is he really needs a writer's room. Like, he needs a writer's room with people that can share and bounce ideas off of each other, because he makes some decent, compelling, you know, plot lines or storylines for, like, you know, movies and stuff. But he never goes beyond, like, what he's capable of doing, because he never really enacts or really adds, like, people that would really be, like, you know, good in being in the writer's room to really, like, help thrive and really, like, showcase, like, his real storytelling potential, you know. It's like Acrimony was probably one of his most decent films, but still kind of unrealistic, and it had a terrible ending. You know, like, I always kind of say that he and Sam Levinson, the creator of Euphoria, are, like, one and the same. Like, they are literally one and the same. But as for the movie itself, Kelly had a good role. I really mostly came, you know, to watch Trevante Rhodes. No pun intended. But it was really nice watching Trevante Rhodes. I really want to see him in more, you know, action-packed, more blockbuster-type movies, and, you know, just bigger roles in bigger films, because he is so deserving of it. Like, he's a great actor, and he's a really handsome guy. Like, really handsome, you know? I would love to see him do more and, you know, be involved in more stuff. But as for that, that's mostly the majority of some of the shows that and movies that I've really been looking forward to or I've been watching recently. I would say that the only movie this year that I'm most interested in watching is Terrifier 3, which is a horror movie. I'm not going to really expand much upon it because it definitely is very gruesome. But I'm really excited to see what that one is going to be like. Deadpool and Wolverine, I'll talk more about it in the Marvel section of this episode. And I guess maybe Inside Out 2. And then also I'm excited to see Wicked. But yeah, those are pretty much all my thoughts on some of the recent shows, movies, and even albums that are going to be coming out this year. Let's get into the next section now. Next topic is the Avatar Returns. The Avatar ATLA franchise is currently having a huge renaissance right now, from the games that are being produced, the novels that are being made. The creators, Mike and Brian, are finally creating their own TV shows and movies within an in-house studio at Nickelodeon and Paramount called Avatar Studios, and also the current Netflix series that just came out. Now, I wasn't really a big fan of the Netflix series. I feel like the series took more of like a very typical, you know, turn, with a lot of reboots and reimaginings of a lot of, you know, childhood shows or whatever. A lot of these studios, specifically Netflix and even the CW show, they tend to want to make these shows geared towards like an older teenage audience with like a more edgier, more darker type of theme to it. And I feel as if it's like stuff like that does not always work for every single reboot or reimagining, especially if like the original show never featured any of those type of things. I mean, Avatar had its moments where it would get a little bit creepy or whatever, but I feel like overall, like, the show didn't really need to have like too much of a serious overtone on it. I have a lot of critiques when it comes to the Avatar series. I actually did write a review about it, so you guys can look at it below. But some of the good things I'll admit was I did love the casting choices that they used for Aang and even Monk Gyatso. I feel like Gordon Cormier and Lim K. Soo as Gyatso was honestly so phenomenal. Like, they really seemed like they were like lifelong friends, and you know, like Gyatso really did give off like a very huge mentor vibes to Aang. I also loved that Dallas Liu was Zuko. He even sometimes in some scenes sounds exactly like the original voice actor Dante Bosco. Daniel Dae Kim, he was great, and he just looks jaw-droppingly gorgeous. Like, he makes a perfect Ozai, you know. Can't wait to see who they cast as Toph. I feel like them casting Jet was honestly amazing. Like, Jet looks so good. I understand why Katara, you know, had like a little crush on him at first. I feel like the Omashu background, though, with like Jet and the Freedom Fighters felt a little bit too forced in. Like, there were like a lot of things I feel like could have been extremely changed. Like, for one, I do sometimes get a little bit annoyed with the fact that when it comes to like Native American and Inuit representation, especially for the Water Tribe, they never tend to want to cast like darker skinned actors. Like, there are dark skinned like Native Americans and Inuit people, I'm sure, you know, even if I've never seen them, I'm sure they do exist somewhere in the world. Like, I just kind of sometimes wish that, you know, when it comes to these Avatar representations, or, you know, these Avatar, you know, live action remakes, that they would actually cast them like more skin tone correct wise, and really skin tone matching these characters to like their animated counterparts, because there is no reason for why every single waterbender should be light skinned or damn near white passing. And yes, I'm looking at you, Ian Osley, who I heard allegedly lied about his race to get this job. And I honestly even feel as if when it comes to the dad that's supposed to play Hakoda in this series, like, he literally almost looks very white passing as well. But that's neither here nor there.
Oh God, I'm scared! Okay, I'm about to do it. I'm doing it! Fight! I'm going all the way! Shut up!
I just feel as if it's like, when it comes to like this ATLA Renaissance, there's so very little like information on like what is going on behind the scenes with like Avatar Studios, because now we're transferring over to like the Avatar Studios portion of this video. Avatar Studios was supposed to be the premier location for all things Avatar and all things, you know, surrounding, you know, Mike and Brian's baby and creation, you know, Avatar Aang and Korra, and even past and future avatars as well. I think they're supposed to be even making like a spin-off or like a reboot, or not reboot, but like a spin-off series from Korra with the Earth Avatar following her. I actually drew fan art of like what I feel like the Earth Avatar could look like, just based around like what I would love to see from my personal opinion. Like, I would love to see like a darker toned Earth Avatar. I feel like we've never got that, or like we've never seen that, and I feel like it's about time we see that. Anywho, and yes, I kind of did get a little bit of inspiration from Jinji, but I also got a little inspiration from like whatever that little pic was that was like in the corner of something. Like, it was some type of little pic, and I wanted to use it and implement it within like, you know, my art. And so yeah, but yeah, I just feel as if it's like with pushing back the date for the movie, there's very little information on what the movie's supposed to be about. We've gotten the casting for the movie finally. I feel like these are pretty good casting choices. I heard one of them, I think the voice actor for Aang, is supposed to have like a little controversy surrounding him. Don't really know, don't really care. Aang is not really my personal favorite character, so as long as they got everybody else cool, I'm fine with that. I am having a lot of hope that, you know, Avatar Studios will be pretty good, or like, you know, Avatar Studios will do amazing. There, like I said, there are just certain little things that kind of make me a bit weary about it, and I'm hoping that, you know, with the Netflix Avatar series, that they actually cast, you know, a very good representation of who Toph is, and as well as other future characters as well. I don't know if Azula will be a great casting choice, and I don't honestly think that the May casting choice actually looked anything like the animated character. But that was all I'll say for now. So yeah, let's get on to the State of the MCU portion of this video. so this portion of the video is going to be a rather shorter topic in comparison to the last one. This is just going to really be me talking about like my personal opinions on the state of the MCU right now. I feel like the MCU is not really in the best state possible in comparison to like how it used to be when it first came out. Like, okay, so I was listening to the Avengers podcast. They're like a MCU Marvel Studios like fan podcast with like 3 people on it, and they were talking a lot like a couple months ago about what things could make the MCU better, what things could change for the MCU, and like what is the current state of the MCU. And there was someone on there that, you know, was speaking on the podcast, and they were speaking like a lot of like the stuff that I felt personally. Like, I feel like with the MCU right now, the current multiverse storyline is a bit confusing, and it kind of feels like very much like the same type of confusing like time jumping or time skip and time traveling, and it just feels so rushed in comparison to like what the Infinity Saga felt like. I feel like there's far too many stories happening at once within phase 4 and even within like phase 5 as well, that makes the story feel too disjumbled and like feels too much of a mess. They have too many characters that they've introduced for this phase, and like, why is it we haven't seen Shang-Chi again? Like, we haven't literally seen or heard anything from him since his movie. You know, there's supposed to be like allegedly like a huge robot celestial titan just sitting in the middle of the ocean, and I guess we've had yet to hear the Avengers talk anything about that. They introduced the Kang plot within the Ant-Man, and not anybody really gives a damn about an Ant-Man movie, like, if we're being honest here. And it really goes to show that it's really time for them to either try to start, you know, developing what characters that they do have right now in order for the Avengers team to not feel like such a huge pileup of mismatched characters that don't really belong. I just wish that, you know, when it comes to like Marvels, because I watched the Marvels and I personally loved it. Like, the Marvels is really what you look for when you watch a comic book movie. It's supposed to be a little bit funny, there's supposed to be a lot of action, there's supposed to be some heartfelt moments, and there's supposed to be like a good teamwork and team building opportunities that make the Marvels such a good movie. And I hate that people hated on it so much, because it didn't deserve the hate. Even Monica's actress Teyonah Parris even came out and was really judging people, you know, when it comes to the hate, because it's like, people are so quick to want to hate anything that they think is so out of the ordinary or, you know, goes against the grain. And I just wish that people weren't such simpletons and didn't really just latch on to anything that they felt was just like, oh, there's women in this, let's go hate on it. Or, oh, there's black people in this, let's go hate on it. Or, oh, there's LGBTQIA plus LMNOP people in it, let's go hate on it. I don't ever understand why is it so, like, it gives so cringe for you to like hate on something that, you know, just because you're not a part of the minority, and because the minority is getting some form of shine and some form of justice or whatever. Like, you realize that some of these fanboys and stuff, because a lot of the Marvel fandom is like 80% men. Like, we need to not forget that the majority of comic book fans are men. So comic books will never really be inherently for femme people, women, or even just feminine men. I mean, there may be some feminine men that will, you know, enjoy the comics, but usually the most type of, you know, queer people that I've ever seen enjoy the comics are usually X-Men fans. And I feel like that's very on par, because X-Men, speaking of X-Men, there's the X-Men 97 series that recently came out, and I honestly love this series. I don't ever plan on watching the original series, because I feel like that is like too much lore and just too much I have to try and get into. But I feel like with the X-Men series, it's like X-Men 97, it just feels like such a great introduction to like the current lineup of what the X-Men are going to possibly be. And it just feels so refreshing to get like new characters outside of like, you know, the Avengers to really look forward to and to really like, you know, get excited about, you know. And there's always kind of been like a certain favoritism about the X-Men over the Avengers that I don't know why Kevin Feige even, you know, started with like continuing the Avengers like when it got into phase 4. I feel like phase 4 and phase 5 and phase 6 should have definitely been him introducing like the X-Men and Fantastic Four characters, which I'm not even a fan of like the Fantastic Four characters like whatsoever, or their casting choices. But I mean, I'll watch the movie. I'm sure it'll be interesting, but I'm just not that excited for it. And then it's like you have, you know, the women in the X-Men that are like honestly the strongest characters, if we're being quite honest. Like we have Rogue, we have Jean Grey, we have Omega Mutant level Storm. We have just so many good female characters within this franchise, and it's like really the only strongest female character that I can say within the Avengers that could fit perfectly within like the X-Men is Captain Marvel. And I mean, given the fact that, you know, within the Marvels, because that is currently my favorite movie, I wanted to do a review on it, but I honestly decided not to, and I'm just adding it within here. Towards the end of the movie, right? So Monica gets separated when she tries to close like some type of like hole within like the universe or whatever that was supposed to like end up converging like multiple universes into one. She ended up closing it, right? And then she ends up getting stuck on the other side of like another parallel universe. There she ends up seeing her mother, who is actually known as Binary in this universe. And if you know anything about the comics, Binary is supposed to be a code name for Captain Marvel. So within this universe, and really within like 2 universes actually, Monica's mother Maria ends up being a version of Captain Marvel. This version of Captain Marvel is a bit different from the other version of Captain Marvel that we saw in Multiverse of Madness. Same Maria character, but different versions, or like different I guess power sets of Captain Marvel. I've never read the X-Men comics. I would love to get into them, but never really had the chance to, and never really kind of cared to up until like recently. Because X-Men is like very much like giving me a lot of inspiration for like my little project that I'm working on, which you guys will probably hear more about at some later date. So yeah, and you know, Monica ends up finding out that she's stuck within this alternate universe, and I feel like this alternate universe is really going to be the universe that's going to introduce the X-Men. And if I speak, I would say I cannot wait for this. Like, I seriously can't wait to see like what is really going to go on here, and I can't even wait for like the X-Men finale, because by the time I'm filming this or I'm recording this, like I have yet to see the X-Men finale. I'm waiting to see all the episodes once they drop officially. These thoughts were like very scrambled and like very much like all put together and meshed up or whatever, but Kevin Feige just might have to end up getting replaced. I feel like he served a great purpose, but I feel as if it's like where the multiverse story has gone and where it's supposed to be going, especially with the fact that we now don't even have a Kang anymore because of the actors very much terrible and very much uncontrolled anger issues. Like, I think it's really about time that, you know, Kevin Feige really either gets the ball going and like really gets this phase like back to where it needs to be, or we just need to get somebody new. I feel like it honestly would be much better if we got somebody new, like just being honest, you know. But anyway, I said I wasn't going to make this long, and I ended up making like 11 minutes, so let's go on to the next topic. The next topic is, have you guys seen all of these recent hip-hop beefs that have been going on lately? I'm like, what does this year have in store for us in terms of that? Like, so I know that it first really all kind of kicked off with like Megan Thee Stallion's Hiss record, and then Nicki Minaj responds to it by releasing such a trash diss record like Bigfoot. And there's been like other little beefs here and there that have been going on. I know Cardi has had like a few feuds with a few of the female rappers. especially like artists like Via. And I know that JT also has had like a few little beefs, tiffs, tit for tats here and there with like Glorilla, and I think there was another girl that she had a little beef with as well. But I never really keep up with everything that JT does. I know that her and Young Miami, aka Carisha, have had their falling out, and allegedly they're friends again, but I kind of highly doubt that because they just have never seemed like close friends to begin with to me. But I mean, okay, I mean, they can keep up the front, but I just don't really believe it. The biggest one that's kind of happened so far is a lot of the male rappers going after Drake. Like Future and Metro Boomin released like an album or 2 albums. I don't know if one of them is a deluxe or just one of them is like a sequel album to the We Don't Trust You one, but it had Future, Metro Boomin, I believe J. Cole was on one of them, Kendrick was on the first one, and The Weeknd was on one. And I think it was probably more people. I can't really think of or name who all of these people are, but there's been a lot of people that have been coming after Drake. And then Rick Ross, he ends up coming after Drake as well in like a diss track, calling him white boy and everything. It's like, you can say whatever you want to say about Drake. I mean, I know that he is one of like the most popular male rappers that's out right now. Like, he is one of like the biggest ones. But I feel like the main reason why I've never really gotten to take Drake that seriously is just because of the fact that I just feel as if that his music that he used to make is just not as good as it used to be. I feel like that's the same thing that I feel about Nicki Minaj. It's like, and I don't want anybody to end up coming on this page trying to attack me, and that's why I don't really ever speak about, like, stan wars and beef like that, especially amongst, rappers and stuff, but, or even pop stars, but this has been a very big topic. And when it comes to Nicki Minaj and Drake, I feel like they're kind of like the more mainstream commercialized version of what a rapper is or what a rapper could be. And I do think that that's one of the reasons as to why so many people within hip-hop don't really respect them as quote-unquote MCs or as rappers, especially because of the fact that they've been able to really, genre blend and, become so famous and so rich and powerful that people don't really take them seriously within terms of the hip-hop world. I don't know why they don't do the same thing with Jay-Z, because I feel like Jay-Z is kind of the same thing, but Jay-Z became more of a businessman. So I guess it's because he works behind the scenes and stuff, but Nicki and Drake kind of work in front of the scenes and openly tend to shade or have a lot of very well-known beefs with other rappers that are not as popular as them, but are probably well more respected in the hip-hop industry than they are. Do I consider Nicki and Drake to be rappers? I do. I feel like the entire talk about when people say that, who do you consider to be a rapper, it gets to be so draining and so tiresome, because I personally believe that if you actually have a good rhythm, flow, and you're really spitting very rhythmic, melodic, or even very lyrical type of content, that's really what I consider you to be a rapper, no matter what. I still oftentimes get so annoyed whenever people try to do the same thing with Doja Cat, which I plan on making a future video about her soon at a later date. I just definitely think that when it comes to Drake and Nicki, I do think that their time is slowly coming to closing, where I think that there's going to end up being somebody new that's going to end up, trying to take on their same spot or become just as popular as they are. I think it's just about time that they really just take a back seat. I feel like Drake, it's time for you to get into some other career field, because you are so rich that you don't really even have to be rapping. And with Nicki, I feel like Nicki can go behind the scenes and kind of become a female Jay-Z, and she has her own record label, but she barely promotes any of those artists aside from Ice Spice, and now allegedly her and Ice Spice have beef, which is not surprising. I just think that it's just time for them to really try and start going off and doing their own thing. Them being the villains within rap is kind of very entertaining, but at the same time it's we just kind of need some like new fresh energy, and to need somebody new to like try to take over and like become like the biggest. But anywho, that's really all like my opinions on this video. I hope you guys liked it. This has been a really fun video. You know, I do want to try and start doing these more often whenever there's like, you know, fun or interesting hot topics that, you know, I see going on in the world, or I see is like really, you know, intriguing to really want to talk about. Hope you guys have an amazing day, an amazing week, an amazing month, maybe make it an amazing year, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
I love everybody, and at the end of the day gotta end.